Hello everyone and welcome to New and Improved Push Notifications, a webinar from Instant Encore. I'm Chief Marketing Officer David Dombrowski, and as you know, Instant Encore is continually working to add new features to the mobile suite that will enable you to provide greater value for your patrons. Later this month, we are releasing a number of enhancements to the push notifications area of your account that will allow you to send the right message to the right patrons at the right time. We see this as the first phase in a series of upgrades to the messaging capabilities of your app. And in order to prepare for this upgrade, today's webinar will explore a number of issues related to push notifications and how these upcoming enhancements will empower your messages to be more targeted, more relevant, and more timely for your patrons. We'll begin by taking a look at the value that push notifications can bring to your patron communications. Why should you use them, and how do they compare to other opt-in communication tools? We'll look at a new feature designed to increase the likelihood that patrons will opt in to receive your messages. Then we'll walk through the changes to the control panel and show you how to target groups of patrons and tailor your messages accordingly. Finally, we'll discuss strategies for using push notifications to deepen your relationship with your app users. So why should you use push notifications? Well, mobile is personal. It's a 24/7 connection to your patrons that places your content and messaging within arm's reach, anytime, anywhere. Correspondingly, if I download your mobile app onto my smartphone, that's a personal act. I'm actively investing in a relationship with you. Maybe I went to your website on my phone to buy a ticket and it prompted me to download your app. Maybe I attended a performance where you had special content available at the event through your app. But once I have bought the ticket or attended that performance, then what? What will encourage me to use your app again? Push notifications are a powerful way to keep your patrons engaged and remind them of the compelling content available at their fingertips. When an app subscriber gives you permission to send them notifications, they expect you to do that. They also expect you to deliver value every time you send a message. Push notifications are similar to broadcast emails and text messages in that the patron chooses whether or not to receive them. But how effective are push notifications compared to email or texting? Well, in comparison to broadcast email messages, push notifications have a higher probability of reaching your patrons. Broadcast emails get caught in spam filters, they bounce back from servers, particularly if someone's inbox is full. And because we keep our mobile devices within arm's reach for most of the day, we're likely to receive a push note much faster than we are to receive an email. Push notifications also have higher open rates and engagement rates than broadcast email messages. Now, compared to text messages, push notifications are clearly associated with you. When a text message comes in from an organization, it appears as a series of numbers with the message beneath it. But there's nothing to clearly articulate that it's coming from a specific organization. Push notifications are different. They clearly define who is sending the message to the user, and because of this, mobile users are more likely to click through on a push note than they are on a text message. Sending broadcast email often requires you to sign up for an account with a service provider like Constant Contact or MailChimp. The costs for these services are often determined by the number of messages you send. And with text messages, you end up paying a fee for each message sent. With push notifications, they're already a part of your Instant Encore service. You can send as many messages as you like without incurring any further expenses. While push notifications have a lower opt-out rate than text messages, the opt-out rate's not quite as strong on average as it is for email. Most people who opt out of receiving push notifications do so because they're worried that you will bombard them with an endless series of sales pitches. So knowing that, how can you increase the likelihood that an app user will opt in for your notifications rather than opting out? The answer to this question lies in how the opt-in process is presented to your patrons. Currently, when Android users download your app, they are automatically opted in to receive your notifications. When Apple users download your app, they see your splash screen before they are presented with Apple's required opt-in screen. Now, if you're building a relationship with a new mobile patron, this is like asking for a second date before you've even gone out on the first one. And another challenge is the standard Apple opt-in screen. By design, it's generic. Correspondingly, it looks like every other app that the user has downloaded onto their device. And this can prompt them to simply tap Don't Allow out of habit. It also presents notifications as an all or nothing option. It doesn't provide the user with any way to indicate messaging preferences or have any choice in the types of messages they're going to receive. But Apple does require us to show this screen to your users before you can send them notifications. So, how might we change this process to be less presumptuous, less generic, and more personalized for your app subscribers? With this month's update, we're introducing a new opt-in process for both Apple and Android users. When someone opens your app for the first time, they will see the splash screen, followed by a screen encouraging them to enhance their experience with personal notifications. The welcome message area allows you to communicate the value of your notifications and reassure your app users that you won't be spamming their phone with irrelevant messages. The text you see here is default text that we have added, but you can edit this text and make it unique to your own organization and the types of notifications that you'll be sending to your patrons. By tapping on Next, the user is taken to an area where they can enter personal information and select types of messages they would like to receive based on interests. For the personal information, you create the information categories as well as their possible answers. And when an app user taps on that down arrow, they're intuitively prompted to select the answer which best applies to them. In addition to the information categories, you can also provide a list of interest categories. By default, app users are selected to receive notifications from all interest categories, but they can deselect any categories which do not interest them. Now, you may be wondering, why would I want to allow them to opt out of receiving any of my messages? Well, recent studies have shown that on average, targeted push notifications have a 293% higher open rate than broadcast messages. Once they have provided their information and their preferences, when they tap on Get Started, Android users will be able to begin using the app immediately. Apple users will now be presented with the required opt-in screen. By waiting until this far into the process to present the opt-in screen, we've allowed you to assure the app users that you're not going to spam them with sales pitches and allow them to take control of the types of messages they would like to receive, so they're more invested in actually receiving your notifications and more likely to tap on OK. In other industries, apps that have added these types of screens saw their opt-in rates increase by as much as 70%. So now that your app users have provided their information and message preferences, how can you use this information to get the right message to the right patrons at the right time? Well, to answer this question, we're going to need to take a look at the new control panel options. So once the upgrade goes into effect, you will see different options in the push notifications area. Across the top, is a horizontal menu. The scheduled screen will show any messages you have scheduled for release on upcoming days at specific times. The Manage Interest screen allows you to add and delete interest categories that people can opt in for. You can also move them up and down and change the order in which they're presented on the opt-in screen. The Manage Categories screen allows you to create personal information categories. You're also able to add the optional answers that the user can choose from for those categories. You can delete categories. You can also, again, move them up and down and change the order in which they're presented. The welcome message screen is where you can see the initial message presented to users when they first open your app. Now, we have pre-populated this area with some default text, but you are free to change this at any time. You can edit it and make it more personalized and unique to your organization. At the bottom of the push notification screen is a history area where you will find analytic information. For each push note that you send out, it will tell you the date and time that the push note went out. It will show you the message associated with the note. It will indicate the audience members who will receive it based on the personal information categories or the interest categories. It will also show the device platforms that the message was sent to. For example, it could go out to both Android and iOS or Apple. And so this would be labeled as all. Or you could choose just to send it to Android users or just to send it to Apple devices. And we'll talk in a few moments about some cases where you might want to do that. In addition, it will show you the number of messages that were sent out. So for example, this is showing that the message went out to 6 app subscribers, and it's showing that one of them opened the app directly from the notification. Now, when you send out your notification, I may not be able in the moment to open that content, but I might open the app later and go to that content later in the day or at a later time. And this type of interaction is considered to be an influenced response rather than a direct response. Now, to create a push note, we're going to click on Compose. You'll begin by crafting the message you want to send. If you have sent push notifications, then this box looks familiar to you. If you haven't sent push notifications before, you simply type in the text of your message here, and you have up to 100 characters of text that you can use. Now, with the current push notification system, tapping on a push note takes the user to your app's home screen. With the new update, you can connect your push notifications to one of 4 tap actions. So Open App is just like the current system. When a user taps on the push note, they are taken to your app's home screen. Open Website allows you to connect the push note to an external URL. So for example, if you're releasing tickets for a particular event, you could link out directly to the online purchase path for that event. By selecting Go to App, you can connect the push note to specific content within your app. You can go to App Tab, and that will allow you to choose one of the tabs that are available within your app. You could go to your events calendar, you could go to the videos area. If you have custom tabs, like a tab regarding parking, you could go directly to that. You could also go to individual items. So let's say we went to video. We could actually connect this push note with a specific video that was available. Another option is the share option. Now, if you choose the share option, tapping on your push note will enable the user to share your content with friends via text, email, or social media platforms. You can use this text field to create the message you would like patrons to share with their friends. And if you're going to link to specific content, you can include the URL here. We recommend using a shortened URL in case the user is going to post to Twitter or another platform that has a limited number of characters allowed. Some convenient URL shorteners are bit.ly, bit.ly, and Google also has one at goo.gl. When you select Share as your tap action, it will also add an interactive button to your push note. And you can see that here. It shows that the Share interactive button is automatically used. Now, interactive buttons prompt the app user to take a specific action. In the first phase of enhancements for push notes, there are 3 interactive button options. We have the yes and no button options, buy now, and share, as I mentioned before. If you choose to add an interactive button to your push note, you will need to add a tap action for that specific button. Similarly to the tap action for the message, you have the options of open app, open website, go to app page, or share. Your tap action for the button may be the same as the tap action for your message. Or you can have the tap action for the message go to one place and the tap action for the button go somewhere else. For example, say you're going to send a message announcing that tickets are now available for Cat on a Hot Tin Roof and you want to add a buy now button. You might have the tap action for the message take you to the event's information screen within your app, and you might have the tap action for the Buy Now button go directly to your online purchase path. It's just one example of how you may have the tap action for the message go to a different place than the tap action for the button. Now, interactive buttons have a different appearance on Android devices than they do on Apple devices. On Android devices, the buttons appear directly beneath the push note. So you can see here that the yes/no buttons are directly beneath the message for the push note. Now with the yes/no buttons, the tap action is actually connected to the yes button. The no button simply dismisses the push note, but when the user taps on yes, they go directly to the content that you have associated with the button. On Apple, the buttons are a little less intuitive. The app user must swipe left on the message to reveal the button so that the user can tap on it. So if you're going to add a button to a notification, how can you compensate for this slightly less intuitive appearance on Apple devices? Well, there are 2 ways. You can have the same tap action for the message and the button, like we mentioned earlier. And in doing this, tapping on the message or the button on an Android device will take the user to the same place. If an Apple user doesn't see the button, it's okay because tapping on the message will trigger the same action. Now, if you want to use different tap actions for the message and the button, I recommend sending separate messages to Android users than Apple users. In the message to Apple users, I would actually instruct them to swipe left, like I have done here in this particular example. So I've talked about the share feature, but what exactly does the share feature look like for the end user? Well, by tapping on share, it launches the app and allows the user to choose how they want to share the content. For example, here you can see there's the ability to send it in a message. I can send it in email, or I can use Twitter. I can also use more to see a list of other apps I might use for sharing it. I'm going to go ahead and select Twitter, and in doing so, a window pops up with the pre-populated message text that I created for app users to share with their friends. As I mentioned earlier, you want to keep this message shorter so that if people are using something like Twitter that has a character limit, it won't exceed the limit that's placed on the tweet. You'll also notice I used the URL shortener, goo.gl. Um, the other thing you'll notice is that I'm directing them to music on iTunes. That's because I'm sending this out to Apple users. If I was going to send a push note out to Android users directing them to share music, I would probably direct them to a link from Google Play. All right, so now that you have created your message, you've decided if you want to use an interactive button, and you've added the appropriate tap actions for the message and the button, it's time to determine who should receive your message. You can refine the message recipients based on two categories, audience or devices. So devices allows you to determine if you're going to send it to both Android and Apple users, or if you wanted to just go to Android users or just go to Apple users. The other way that you can refine is by audience. So you can send this out to everyone, or you can get more targeted. By choosing targeted, it will show you the personal information categories as well as the interest categories. So you can go into the personal information categories, and if you want to isolate people who answered in a specific way, maybe I want to send this particular message just to subscribers, then I can do that here. And if I want to add in an interest category, maybe I just want to send it to subscribers who've said that they are interested in opera. You can see down here where it says specified audience, it will tell you that this message is going to users where patronage is selected to be I'm a subscriber, and users must also have opera selected as an interest. If I were to add something else, like say I want this to go out to people who selected opera, or subscribers who selected opera, or subscribers who selected ticket specials, I can do that here. So then you'll see that down here under specified audience, this is going to go out to people who've selected that they're a subscriber and have indicated one of the following interests, either ticket specials or opera. So adding another interest is an or action rather than an and action. Once you've determined the personal information categories that you want to send out to, as well as the interest categories that you want to send out to, and if you determine which devices will receive the message, now you're going to indicate when you want to send it. You can send it out immediately, or you can schedule it to be sent at a later date and time. You can use the calendar, or you can type in the date directly. And when it comes to the time area, make sure that you're using the appropriate time zone. For example, maybe you want to make sure that a particular push notification is going to go out at 7 o'clock on Thursday night. Then you would definitely want to make sure that it's 7 o'clock in your time zone, not necessarily 7 o'clock in Eastern time zone or somewhere else. And then once you're ready, you simply tap on schedule, or if you have it set immediate, then it's going to just be a send button. Now, what happens if I make a change? Say I add a personal information category, or maybe I add some interest categories or delete some interest categories. What happens if I make changes? Well, when you make changes and the user opens up your app, they'll see an update notification settings screen. By tapping on next, it will show them the new options as well as their previous options and allow them to alter their information accordingly. If at some point in time they decide that they want to make changes to notifications on their own, they can go to the notifications menu item and it will take them to a screen that will allow them to change their personal information or change the interest that they want to have selected. They can also turn off notifications altogether if they like. Okay, so when will the upgrade be available in my account? Mid-May. We're anticipating that the upgrades will be released during the week of May 18th to the 22nd. We will send you an email when the upgrade is available and the app update is released within the App Store. So you have some homework between now and May 18th. Your homework is to determine information categories that will help you send targeted messages. When you're thinking about your information categories, you really aren't looking to collect a lot of information. You simply want to collect the information that is going to help you target messaging. You'll also want to set up your interest categories so that the users can control what messages they're going to receive by indicating their preferences. Now, what those interest categories might be really depend on the work you do. You know, there are presenters who have different types of series, so they may have an interest category for each series. You may have categories based on other types of messages you send. Maybe you send out ticket offers, maybe you send out messages regarding workshops, master classes, volunteer opportunities, things like that. You'll also want to edit your welcome message so that it's a little more unique and indicative of the types of messaging that you'll be sending out. You can do all of this by logging into your account and going to the mobile area of the control panel. You'll see that it has an area for you to tap on or click on Set Up Interest, which will allow you to add your interest categories. Set Up Categories, which allows you to add your personal information categories. Or Set Up Welcome, which will allow you to edit your welcome message. So again, this is your homework and it's due by May 18th. So to review the timeline, right now you can log into your account and you can create your interests and information categories. You can also edit the welcome message. By May 18th, you should have your interest categories and welcome message completed. And then from May 18th to the 22nd, the upgrade will be going into effect. So new features will be available to you in the control panel at that point. The app update will be released within the stores and available to current subscribers. New app subscribers will have the new version available. And we will be sending a notification to you when this has happened. Also, from May 18th to the 22nd, most app subscribers will download the update within the first week of its release. And when they update the app, there is a brief description prompting them to personalize their notifications and letting them know that this particular update is all about providing them with notification options. So most of them will download it within the first week, but give them another week just in case. And then on June 1st, I would suggest that you send a push note out to all of your app subscribers and that you are encouraging them to stay connected with the news that matters to them and encourage them to personalize their message settings today. It's not so much about getting them to download an update. It's more about helping them to stay connected to you and to get the content they want when they want it. Now, when you send out that push note, make sure that the tap action for the message is set to open app. In doing this, it will take them directly to the opt-in screens. And after June 1st, I would encourage you to continue to promote your app and encourage people to open it. Encourage people to download and open the app when they're at an event so that they can see your at the event content. Let them know that they have the ability to get ticket sales. Let them know that there's the ability to see your multimedia content, videos. Let them know about any music on demand you might have available within your app, your news and social media updates all being aggregated in a singular space, that the app and its push notifications are the best way to stay in contact with you at any time. If at any point during the process you have questions, please do not hesitate to email us at support@instantencore.com. And especially if you have any questions about interest categories or personal information categories, or if you're looking for suggestions on ways that you can promote the app to both your current subscribers so that they open it and go through the opt-in process, as well as new app subscribers, so that you can continue to increase your user base. So thank you so much for your time today, and we look forward to releasing the series of enhancements for you and for continuing to push forward with the ways that you can provide value to your clients.